Going into 2025, I thought it was about time that I shared what was in my camera bag. I'm going to be sharing with you everything that I take out on a shoot, everything that I use to record these videos and POV videos. I've been receiving a few questions about what kind of camera I'm using, what lenses I'm using. So kicking things off, let's talk about the camera bag itself. This is it's a Low Pro. Let me just double check the model number. I've got it up here. It is the Low Pro LP37332-PWW Fastpack BP 250 AW3. That was a bit of a mouthful. I've had this bag now for probably coming up to 3 years. I've got some things I really like about it, and I've got some things that I'm not so keen on. So let's start with the positives and then we'll move on to the negatives. Firstly, one of the main reasons that I got this bag was traveling to London and other cities to do shooting. I live in a small town in the north of the UK, so I'm always traveling, and sometimes it's easier to stay the night. But when you're out on a street walk or a photo walk or something like that, carrying other bags with you on top of your camera bag can make the days very long and very tiring. So when I was looking for a bag, I was looking for one that I could actually use as a day bag as well. So the top half, it's got different dividers in there. It's got a back section. So I normally use this for any food, any clothes, and it keeps it completely separate from the actual camera compartment, which is down here at the bottom. The reason that I like that, by it keeping the two sections completely separate, is if I kind of go in and I'm changing lenses or I'm swapping things around, all I need to do is access this front portion of the bag here. It's got a laptop pouch in the rear of the bag here, and I think that'll keep up to a 15-inch laptop, but I normally just stick my tablet in there because I do a lot of editing on my iPad. On the rear of the bag, it's also got some straps that you can use to put it over a trolley bag. So if you were traveling a little heavier and you had some wheeling luggage, you can actually attach this to the top of suitcases. With the camera pouch at the bottom here, it does have side access. So depending on where your zips are set up, you do have side access to just the camera compartment, and then in the actual main camera compartment itself, it's just got a few dividers that we can put in different lenses, a few other little filters, and I'll go into a little bit more detail of the kind of things that I store in this area on top of my lenses a little bit later in this video. Another thing that's fantastic about this bag is it's got a drink spot holder, and sometimes when you're out on your photo walks and you're doing your 30, 40, 50,000 steps, sometimes it's nice just to carry a bottle of water around with you. It's got your straps at the bottom. Sometimes I use these for carrying a tripod. So what I don't like about this bag is one of the positives to it. It is the fact that it has this pouch here. And you're probably already noticing the problem with this. As you may have seen from many of my photo walk videos, I happen to time traveling to London when it's raining. So it's always wet on the ground. And if I'm trying to change my lens, trying to access this, the back of the bag always gets placed down on the wet ground. So when I'm trying to change my lens, the back of the bag then gets soaked. And then when I put it back on my back, I'm transferring all the grub, the grime, the dirt onto my back. So if you have any suggestions for a better camera bag than this one, leave them in the comments for me and I'll definitely check them out. But so far it has been my favorite camera bag that I've got. Let's talk about camera. And at the minute I'm using the Fujifilm XS10, and that's what I'm using to film this video right now. I've had it for probably going on 4 years now and I absolutely love it. Some of the things that I love about it, one, the fully articulated screen. At the time there was very few cameras on the market that actually had the fully articulating screen. And obviously for filming videos like this, it's really good to see the back of the camera when you're sat in front of it, but also on photo walks. You'll probably see on some of the videos that I've done in the past, the amount of times that I twist that screen out to kind of get a different angle or just to get a better framing of the shot. On top of that, the size of it, it's only small in comparison to some of the Sonys and whatnot. So when you're out on your photo walks, it's less conspicuous than having this giant camera in your hands. The image quality is fantastic. The colors, being Fujifilm, are absolutely brilliant. The ability to have film recipes, and it has become less frequent that I use film recipes on my photo walks. And this camera, for only posting to Instagram and filming these YouTube videos, it does more than I could possibly want from a camera. And to be honest, I think that's what keeps me with it. I love the results that I get out of it. And when I think about switching brands, it doesn't come from a place of need, it comes from a place of want. So I'll probably be sticking with this little beast in all seriousness until it gives up the goose. Things that I don't like about this camera and that often make me want to upgrade is, The main one, and it's something we've heard a lot on the internet just lately, and it's the autofocus, the Fujifilm autofocus. It's notoriously slow, and recently it's got really bad. I don't think it hits this generation of camera as bad as some of the newer generation, but it is still apparent how slow it is at autofocus in comparison to other brands. Another thing that I keep considering is, with this being an APS-C, would I be better with a full frame camera? Obviously doing a lot of night photography, would the full frame sensor give me better low light performance? But the results that I have been getting with the lenses and the camera itself at the moment in my night photography, I have been happy with. So let's talk about lenses, and we all love talking about lenses. The main lens that I have for filming videos like this and some of my tutorial content at the desk is the Fujifilm 18-55mm kit lens. Despite it being a kit lens, it's absolutely fantastic. It's one of those lenses that's a bit of a sleeper. It's kind of very underestimated, but when you actually go out and use it, it is a fantastic lens. But for now, this has been my go-to for my wide shots and often when I'm trying to get a little bit more of the scene in the images. Next up, we've got this little beast, and this is the XC35mm. It's from Fuji, and this was the lens that I had for probably the first 2 years of owning this camera, and it barely left other than for talking head style videos. I pretty much did everything with this little lens. It is a little bit plasticky. It's an affordable 35mm lens from Fuji. It's one of those lenses that's kind of small, discreet. And when you're out on street photography or photo walks, it's always nice to have a small, inconspicuous, lightweight lens that people overlook as being a professional lens, opposed to having something like giant like this on the front of your camera. So yeah, I don't really have any complaints about this little lens. Next up, we've got the lens that probably reignited my love of photography middle end of last year, and that is the Viltrox 56mm f1.7. Yeah, this is one of them lenses that the 56mm was a lens that was always on my shopping list, and when Viltrox brought out this Air series of lens, it was really interesting because it was an affordable price. Yes, the trade-off again was a plasticky build. For me, that didn't really matter, and it does the job. The images are great, they're fantastic. Image quality, the sharpness, and for the price, is it worth it? Yeah, absolutely. It lacks all the physical controls of some of the more premium lines from Viltrox, but again, for my use case, it's not been a problem. If you'd like me to do a full review of this lens in a future video, let me know in the comments below. The last lens we're going to talk about today is the Fujifilm XF55-200. This is one of those lenses that, it's a zoom lens, it doesn't make that many appearances on my camera these days anymore. It's one of those lenses that it's always handy to have. It's a perfect lens for a certain situation. It doesn't make that much of an appearance. So that about wraps up the lenses. I don't have many. I've got a few that I really like for my street photography photo walks. It's simple, it's clean, and I know what I'm gonna get. Moving on to the other bits that make an appearance in my bag. I suppose we should talk about the POV camera and my POV setup. And currently I am using the DJI Osmo Action 4, and it's probably been one of the best purchases that I've made for this channel and my photography overall in the last 12 months. It's one of those that even if I don't post to social media, sometimes I like to film my photo walks so I can kind of look back and see opportunities that I may have missed. Before I got this, I was recording all of my POVs on my phone, but this thing made my workflow so much easier. I still need to dial in the night settings that I'm using, but overall for day-to-day stuff, the quality and the ease of use has been incredible. So simple and easy to use. I can just come on, I've got the quick record set up on the top button, so I'm walking around, I can just quickly hit the quick record, it pops on and it automatically just starts recording. And then when I press that again, it just shuts the camera down and then stops recording. It's been a fantastic little purchase. Continuing with the POV theme, we should probably talk about the POV mount that I use, and what can I say about them? Over the years, I have used so many different ways of mounting my camera, and I've got one that I actually like at the minute. I do prefer the full chest harnesses, but sometimes depending on where you are, they're a bit of a faff to put on and take off. I've tried the kind of bag strap mounts, and again, it points off to the side and you don't know where you're getting with it, so yeah, that was a no-go. Another one that I've tried was, probably should have taken this out of the bag before I started filming. It's this magnetic thing. The magnet seal's really strong and it works, but when you've got it attached to your t-shirt, it kind of just does this. And yes, you've got rock steady in your action cams and stuff like that, but you're fighting your t-shirt, and if you lean forward, your t-shirt falls forward and the camera goes with you. That takes me to my favorite mount at the minute, and it has been this Telesin, I believe it, yeah, Telesin neck mount, and it's dead simple. It's got a button on the back that makes it, and it kind of goes on like a necklace. Once you've got it around your neck, you just clip it on, and then your POV mount just sits nicely around your neck. And then when you want to take it off, you can take it off. And with the action for having the magnetic mounts on, it just magnetizes on there. So it's straight on. And then if I want to take it off, bosh, don't have to mess around with the thumb screws or anything like that. I can just take it off, and then that just goes in a pocket, back in the bag. It just saves me having to have the POV camera on all the time. Some of the POV footage I've got, you wouldn't know that it was not on a chest mount. So for that trade-off of convenience, definitely for me, it has to be something like this over a full-blown chest mount. Definitely for general photo walk, something that's easy, simple, effective, and that's it. Moving on, SD cards. So all the SD cards that I've got, have I got any? I've not got any out. Oh yeah, no, I have, one's here. The main ones that I use for my camera are the SanDisk Extreme Pro, 128 gigabytes. I trust SanDisk, a great little memory card. Same for the action cam. I've got the smaller version of the Extreme Pro for the micro SD. Other things that are in my camera bag that make an appearance from time to time is a cheap ND filter set. It's from Neewer. I don't use them that often, but from time to time it's often handy, especially filming video footage and maybe for some slow light trails or slow shots photography. Yeah, it's always handy to have. So yeah, nothing fancy, nothing special. But talking about filters, probably should mention step-up rings, because that is one thing that I have kind of grown to love over the last year or two. The main reason for that is they're cheap, and it allows me to buy one filter. My mist filter is on here at the moment, but yeah, I buy one size of mist filter, and then I use step-up rings for all of my different lenses, so I can use one larger filter on any of my lenses. All of these have a different filter thread. This step-up rings just allow you to use that bigger filter size. I went for the largest one that matches the biggest lens that I've got, and then use the step-up rings to get them onto all of my other lenses. So continuing on with the filter trend, or the filter theme, is the Neewer black diffusion filter. Since I started using Dehancer last year, this has become less of a necessity on my camera. I used to use it all the time on my night photography, but yeah, Dehancers allowed me to do some of that after the fact. And the last filter that I've got is a Gobi CPL filter. So I use this, again, it's one of those filters that I don't often use, but when I do use, or certain situations come about taking photos of cars, the CPL filter gets rid of all those reflections on the windows and just creates a really nice clean image. Next up, and this is gonna sound like a bit of a weird one, it's these. And these are disposable shower caps. And yes, it might sound a bit weird, but bear with me. So yeah, disposable shower cap. When it rains, my camera's not weather sealed. So using these disposable shower caps, I have a bunch of them that I normally keep in my bag. And then I can just throw it over the camera. I can either poke the lens out through this opening in the front where it's got this elasticated back part. It does make it kind of hard to see the screen, but what you can do is just poke a hole in it and then put it through, put it around the camera, and then it's not going to make your camera waterproof, but it just gives it a little bit more protection than walking around with nothing on it and letting water get into every orifice. So yeah, disposable shower caps, definitely something that I carry on. I don't use often, but on a really heavy downpour day, they can be the difference between ruining my camera or not. So definitely like to have those in the bag. This is a new addition to the kit from today actually, and you've probably noticed it on me throughout this video, and it is the DJI Mic Mini. From every review that I've seen of these, and I know they've only just come out, but the reviews that I've seen from the small tests that I've done, they've been fantastic. This is something that I'm excited to add to the kit, and hopefully it will level up my content for my POV content for you guys while I'm out and about. I'll maybe post a video in a couple of weeks once I've had a bit more time to experiment with these. Another thing that's in my bag that I use from time to time is this small little LED panel, RGB, so I can cycle through. So I can cycle through the hue, but then I can also switch it on to, it's got different effects in it, cop car, there's loads of other ambulance. But then it's also just a nice white light, so I can do that as well, and just gives me an extra little bit of light that I can use in the scene. The last couple of bits that we've got in there are a blower in there, some microfiber cloths, and that kind of stuff, just to keep any dust and grime out of the camera. I have this small little tripod. It's only small and extendable. I do have a little dongle for USBs to plug into my tablet. iPad Pro, I use this to do all my editing in Lightroom. It's got a little picture or a little sticker that I got with a phone case that reminds me of my dog, so that's on the back there. iPad Pro 11-inch M1, and I use that to do most of my editing. I find it so much easier than being strapped to the computer sometimes. Ultimately, iPad's where I edit all my photos while I'm out and about, and for the most part. The only other thing that's in my bag is I've got a bunch of batteries and a few kind of little different mount options. I've got some spare action cam mounts. I've got some action cam mounts for a tripod conversion. This one allows me to mount my action cam directly to the cold shoe. And then, like I say, there's just a few other little knickknacks like batteries and cables and that kind of thing that are in there as well. Oh, actually, one more thing, and it is the wrist strap that I use. And it is a JJC, again, another Amazon special. Just something that, again, just gives me a little bit of extra security while I'm walking around and doing my photo walks. If anyone tries to snatch my camera, it's just physically attached to me. So I think that about wraps up this video. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I hope the end edit doesn't turn out like I'm rambling too much. I'm really interested to see how my kit changes over this year as well. And if you've got any suggestions for equipment that you think I should add or try to my kit, add it in the comments below. And with all that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.